am. So as Amanda gets ready, I wanted to just mention real quick that there are three types of people that usually come to doTERRA. The first type of person is somebody who just wants to use their oils. They are committed to a natural lifestyle and they just want to use the oils on themselves and maybe share with their immediate family. So that's kind of how I started. I was introduced to oils by Amanda, and I was like, I just want to get my allergies under control. That's all I want to do. And so I started with that, and I did. And as that got under control, my husband had some back pain, and so I wanted to help him. And my mom has some sleeping issues, and I wanted to help her. So I was just committed to using them. The second type of person is someone who's considered a sharer. They want to share it with maybe their best friends, maybe just a few people that they know, and maybe want to get their oils paid for. So that's kind of what I became. I thought, okay, well, people around me had some issues, so I wanted to be able to share with them and help them change their lives the way I did, and maybe get my oils paid for because I was starting to use them regularly. So I wanted to maybe support that. And over time, you can get to a point where you get your oils paid for. The third type of person is someone who's looking at Amanda or me and saying, oh my gosh, I want to do what they do. I want to change people's lives. And I want to say that I became that person, and I knew I was this person when some of you may have heard this story already, but when I was on an airplane coming home from California with my hubby, and it was one of the first times I had been able to enjoy the outdoors in Northern California without any over-the-counter medication. And people on the plane coming home were all sneezing and suffering with all the symptoms that come with seasonal changes. And I leaned over to my hubby and I said, do you think it would be inappropriate for me to run up and down the aisles giving people samples of lemon, peppermint, lavender? And he said yes. So I didn't do that. I stayed in my seat. But at that point, I knew that I had to become a builder. I needed to make this a lifestyle, and I needed to change people's lives. And I can't tell you how excited I get when somebody says, I am now off allergy medicine or over-the-counter medicine because of doTERRA essential oils. So, and you can get to a point if you are a builder where you can either supplement your income or completely replace your income. And my dream now is to bring my hubby home so that he doesn't have to work and we could both be a full-time family. So if you think you may be a builder or a sharer, really listen to this presentation about teaching a class and maybe get connected with Amanda or myself or whoever invited you to this class so that we can talk some more. I'm going to hand it back over to Amanda now.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so I do, there's certain things that I love about doTERRA, and part of it is, sometimes people hear the phrase, MLM, and they're thinking multi-level marketing, that network marketing, that stuff. Number one, it never works. Number two, it means that you lose all your friends and family because you're being pushy about stuff. And it kind of gives this idea that it's something that's hard to do, or that it's kind of nasty or yucky or something like that. And so I like that when, as Marcella was just sharing her story, the idea there really is, it's really from a place of service. Like she's just like overflowing with this idea, like, I have the coolest thing, you guys. And she just wants to tell the world. And the idea of just wanting to serve people, like all these people who have stuffy noses and who are coughing and sneezing and stuff like that, and wanting to be able to help them. So I really feel like that's a big difference about how doTERRA does business in general, how they are as a company, just with the integrity and things like that. That heart of service really, really comes through. So there's 4 parts to the class that we typically, or this training that we usually go over. So the first one is the getting started, like how you kind of like don't overload people when you're giving them a sample by giving them like 16 different ones, or some of those kinds of basics, and like how much to give and things like that. So if you haven't come into some familiarity with that yet, you'll want to either check out the YouTube channel under one that's called Getting Started, or you'll want to check in with the Enamored with Nature Oil Education page. You can find the link to that video there as well. Now, the second one is about the compensation plan, just to know, even with that heart of service that we are coming from, that we're wanting to help people, and which I feel like is so different from if you're, just, trying to get rid of a bunch of leggings that you got in bulk, or if you're like, you know, have Tupperware or something, you know, like I feel like really helping people with their, you know, immediate healthcare needs, or like some real, like she was mentioning, some back problems for her husband or some sleeping issues for her mom. Like those are like some real, like they impact your daily life kind of thing. So if you're helping friends being able to get a hold of that, there is actually compensation for it. And if you want to know details about that, you can check out the class number 2. Today we're doing class number 3, which is about teaching essential oil class. And again, sometimes that doesn't look like a class where like you're kind of, you know, the traditional way where we used to think of like one person in front of the room and everybody else like lined up, you know, like facing forward in the slide projector and stuff like that. It really looks so much different than that, which we'll talk about today. And of course, the fourth one that we'll talk about in the future is Elite in 6 weeks, which is kind of like a combination, like an overview of, you know, what it looks like to see all of that through in order to actually, you know, make some money while sharing your heart and, you know, just doing it through teaching and things like that. So it's kind of a combo overview thing. So today with this teaching how to teach a class, I want to tell you at the outset, it doesn't have to look scary. In fact, sometimes it just looks like a one-on-one. Sometimes it'll even look like a phone call where like maybe you've sent something ahead of time, or maybe you're just kind of talking things through with somebody who's really interested. Sometimes it might look like a Zoom call if you guys are social distancing. I just wanted to kind of get it out of your head that it has to kind of like seem like it's supposed to be a big scary deal. Other things that I think you may be super interested to know are we have a bunch of resources. You don't have to come up with a way to teach a class on your own. So we have, actually, let me show you this first before I jump into that. So dailymentorcalls.com is a really great way for you to get much more detailed than the short overview that I'm giving you here for this basic business training. So Allyse Sedivy, who is a doTERRA Triple Diamond, does 50 calls. And if you are, you know, interested in making this something that you start to excel at, you know, at whatever level you want to do it at, which is really nice about how this works, is that you get to choose. But Allyse Sedivy will probably be a really good person for you to kind of tune into, and all of the stuff is kind of free. You just, you know, click in here to put your email address in. She does not spam, like she is not a spammer, don't worry. And but this does give you access to people to kind of like click into the resource page, which looks like this. And so under resources, you can get this basic Back to Basics workbook, which, you know, looks a lot like this. You can choose to print it off yourself or just access it digitally whenever you feel like it. So today we're going to go over the intro to oils overview, and I'll, you know, show you guys a couple things about this. Also on that same, you know, website for the Daily Mentor Calls with Allyse Sedivy, this is also where you actually listen to the Daily Mentor Calls themselves, and you also have other links to be able to kind of look at some of these things, which are, we have a tear sheet, right? So you don't have to come up with your own slides, for example, and you don't even have to come up with your own like paperwork or things like that. It doesn't have to be tricky. This is really easy. You can just print one of these off and send it to a buddy of yours who needs some help with whatever, you know, like calming or whatever thing it may be. It's just one page front and back, and it's so simple. Really, anyone can do it. If you want to even also print off one of the enrollment kits so that you can see kind of at a glance what some of the basic ones are that you'd be looking at helping somebody to enroll with. And this is going to be what that looks like. And again, that's just a resource that's on that page as well. And here's what's also really great is Allyse Sedivy herself actually does a full, you know, following this style of the Essential Oils Made Easy. She does a full, you know, version of it. I know it looks like it's 109 minutes. It really only goes till about right here, and then she starts talking about the the basic business intro afterwards, which I think is an important part as well. But you can watch this over and over and over again to kind of get good at it. So it doesn't have to be scary, and there are models that are very, very, you know, good that that you can just watch. And that link we can put in the comments for you, or again, you'll also be able to find it on that Allyse Sedivy website. We also, doTERRA is really trying to be supportive of people in terms of getting, you know, these sample bottles and the essential oils made easy. You know, if you want to be able to have it all in a box with the live guides and things like that that come with it, and the enrollment forms, and 10 bottles of the wild orange essential oil that's in the 5 ml bottles. If you want all that, we do have a class in a box kit that's about $30, and that's a really nice, easy way. If you don't want to go through and just print off, you know, one sheet here and one sheet there, you can get some of those things all combined. So really great resources for you, just so that you kind of, you know where you're going with a lot of this. Okay, so the basic idea here, oh, and actually one tip that I feel like I definitely want to tell you guys, because I have done this wrong many, many times. I over talk because I love the oils, and people can tell that I'm passionate about my my experiences and about my belief level in the essential oils and the supplements. And so I tend, like, if I could just give you one tip overall, you're probably going to find that you're going to over prepare and over talk when you're looking at teaching in a class or talking with a friend. And I know in the beginning you're kind of probably thinking, oh, that's just so intimidating or overwhelming, and like, who would even want to listen to me about essential oils? Like, I am no expert, I don't have a degree, I should be an aromatherapist before I try to give somebody advice. You know, it really doesn't have to be that complicated. It really doesn't. It's just a friend telling a friend where to get something that's awesome. And but my one piece of advice is, don't be the fire hydrant, right? Like, don't blast them with all the information. And that's how I am prone to do it. So maybe you're not like me, but I think most people, their default is to give much more information than what other people are ready for. So that, I think, would be like my one tip, is try to slow it down and be the garden hose that waters at like a good level, not the fire hydrant that knocks people over with too much info. Okay, so here's a couple of things that you would want if you are going to do it, you know, kind of the Allyse Sedivy style, where you've given people samples and they've tried it and they've loved it. Like, make sure you don't invite them to a class until they do. Now, two things here. One, if we're social distancing, this is going to end up happening more like on a Zoom call, or, you know, a Facebook kind of, you know, messenger kind of call or something like that. There's different ways to do it virtually, where you're sending things ahead of time and then having like 4 or 5 people show up, and you're still like walking through, sharing your screen about some of this kind of stuff. Because of the way it's written, I'll go ahead and talk about it as if we were having like a live class, say, like, you know, coming together in someone's home. But just realize it doesn't have to be exactly the way it's written. Go ahead and start thinking outside the box for how this would work for you in your situation. So all you really need is people who are not distracted to sit with some peppermint, wild orange, deep blue on guard. And you don't even necessarily even need a Lifelong Vitality pack, although it's a really good one. So really, if you only have these 4 oils, peppermint, wild orange, and deep blue, that's going to be enough for you to teach a class. So don't plan on bringing, like, oh, I can't teach it because I don't have like all 142 essential oils that doTERRA offers. It's all good. You'll need a couple of these sample oils in the 1/4 drams. These are going to be giveaways, and they're so fun. You already saw the class handouts, right? I showed you guys about the Essential Oils Made Easy handout that you can print off one or get a couple in the class in a box. They also have the enrollment forms you can download from doTERRA or from the other page. And if you don't have those, that's okay. You can actually just have people write on plain paper. You do want them to be able to have something to kind of write in what their top 3 concerns are. And you want some pens. It's a great idea to have the keychains, which I think you guys saw in the class note box. You see the keychains here. Those are great for being able to book the following classes. And the Essential Life books, which I think are those in there too. Oops, just kidding. Or, no, where did she go? I think I closed the other one for it. Anyway, but you guys will see the oil reference books. They're just kind of like the Modern Essentials books or things like that. Only have some lemon, lime, wild orange, and lemon sassy to put in water. You don't need to have a bunch of refreshments. In fact, it's better if you don't. If you want to know details about that, the daily mentor calls tell the reasons why we do things kind of more like this. You're going to want to have a distraction-free environment if possible, and you're going to aim for only 45 minutes. And here's kind of the main components. You're going to do your welcome and intentions. You're going to tell your story, which is how you began working with essential oils in a little bit more intentional way. You're going to tell people about the three things about essential oils, or 3 cool things. And we'll go over that. There's a script for it, don't worry, you'll be good. And then you're going to tell people the 3 ways to use the essential oils. Then you're going to give them a chance, those attendees, those 4 or 5 people, you're going to give them a chance to talk about their product experience. You're going to transition to the wholesaling kits and the 3 ways to purchase, and then do the transition to the business with the 3 types of people, and then tell your most powerful experience. After that, you're going to take a little break. You're going to help people actually enroll, sign up for wellness consults, and have them stay for the basic business intro. And then for about 20 minutes afterwards, you'll do the basic business intro after people enroll. So here is details about the introduction that you're doing about yourself, which again, because I know you have access to this and can go in, and really the big deal here is for you to be able to kind of make this story your own, about, say what attracted you to essential oils and what your intention is for being able to talk to them. Which, here's a good example, is to say, I'll have done my job today if you leave this class knowing 3 cool things about essential oils. And then, in the back, at the end of the class, be able to check and make sure, do they know those 3 cool things? So the first cool thing is that they are 100% natural and safe. And here's, a really great script that kind of walks through exactly what to do, including how to have them put a drop of peppermint in the palm of their hand, how to have them, like you joke around about like not putting it in their eye, but you're telling them about the different carrier oils, and why we use the carrier oil to be able, if you were to have got it in your eye. So you're really giving a lot of education here, but it's in a very like easygoing kind of way, and they're getting to have like the experience of breathing it in, and you're telling them things about how we know, because it's grown in that specific part of the world, that it's going to have the absolute best chemistry. You're telling them and then after you've told them that, then you ask them, who can tell me the first cool thing about essential oils? And then whoever, and again, if this is on Zoom, you allow them to raise their hand or to write in the chat or whatever, and they should be able to tell you that the first cool thing is that they're 100% natural and safe. And then you get to give them your little prize. Remember how we have those like 1/4 grams of the essential oil? That becomes theirs, and you can tell them a little bit about what's inside that bottle. The peppermint, to be able to use it for opening airways, great for fevers, and wonderful for headaches and stuff like that. So then you go on to the second cool thing, which is that it's more effective than many medications. And, you know, there's a really great, again, if you guys, I don't want to read the entire script because I know that's, you guys are smarter than you don't need me to do that for you. And you have access to this anytime. But I think it's cool just the way that she really walks you through like how to, you know, how to prevent hecklers by asking, you know, if there's any medical professionals in the room and kind of getting their permission to simplify things and whatnot. Like it really, like, this is well thought out and very smart, you know, the way it's laid out. So this is making it so you don't have to do that work. You don't have to be a super good teacher or whatever. Now, at the end of your second point, you're asking again, who can tell me the second cool thing about essential oils? And when they, you know, let you know that is, you know, more effective than the modern approach to healthcare, then you're going to give them the awesome sample as a reward and talk a little bit about what On Guard does there. And then you're going to talk about the third cool thing, which is that they're cheaper than traditional medical care. And, you know, again, this, you're asking people a really good question about how much they have to pay their doctor when they go for a visit for something that's like an ear infection or something like that. So this is showing you how to be interactive as a teacher, how to get your class, you know, get your attendees involved. So this is very well thought out class. I do suggest that you basically follow this outline, and unless you have some amazing divine inspiration, like, don't bother veering from it. Just go through and practice this enough times that it feels good coming out of your own mouth. And this is a great way to introduce people to essential oils and those basics. So then you're asking them again at the end, who can tell me the third cool thing about essential oils? And they go, oh, raise your hand. They're more affordable than traditional medical care. Awesome. So, and then you get, you know, your next handout. So actually, let me go ahead and pause here. I'm going to ask a question for you guys. Let me make my first question for this part. If you've been to a class that's like set up like this, where you get a little prize, do you remember what your prize was? So maybe you haven't been to a class, your answer in the chat will be no. But if you've gone to a class like this and you answered a question and you won a prize, go ahead and put that in the comments for me about what your prize was. If it was, because I never remember what all I've passed out. So, but most of them are going to be the top 10. I just want to see if you guys can put that in your thing for me. All right, so that's your first question. What have you got as a prize? Okay, so after you finish the 3 cool things about essential oils, you're going to transition into the 3 ways to use essential oils, which, again, just like the first part, it's interactive, right? You're having people, do this particular gesture, right? They're kind of showing their involvement, you know, by doing a certain motion where they're putting their fingers above the bridge of their nose and things like that. So all of these things, you don't have to figure out how to get them involved and things like that, and you don't have to figure out how to say the different stuff. You just are able to use what's already done well for the aromatically, the topically, and even the internally. And again, each time you're going to reward people with a gift, right? With a sample of whatever is in that dram. And you don't have to overload, obviously, if you only have 3 people attending, and you don't have to give out like all 10 samples that we, you know, we're talking about. Some of that depends on class size, obviously, but anyway, but that's like really easy to go through the 3 ways to use it. You're going to give a time for testimonials. And again, this is where some of those other ones get used. It really is a fun part of the class to be able to have somebody share like their experience, you know, for how they use the sample that you gave them for their back and the experience that they had, or for sleep, or for whatever thing it was. there's this little transition to the wholesale kits, which, you know, you're gonna, after this point is when you hand out that enrollment form that I was showing you guys. So that's another, that's the only other handout that you could have, or again, if you're doing it on Zoom, you could just show them what it looks like, you know, on the doTERRA website. So that doesn't even have to be, you know, very, very tricky. The next part is how you'll talk about your, wait, did I skip the part? Or is that one more down? Okay, yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, so then the transition to the business and talking about the 3 types of people. And then after the 3 types of people, and the reason you do this one is important because you're talking about like an experience that you had that was really important and how that made you, I don't know, they'll be here when they're here. So after you talk about why you started doing doTERRA and things like that, then you'll share your most powerful testimony. That one's really great. I suggest listening to the call that Allyse Sedivy does about that, so that you can get some good, you know, tips on how to share about that. And then you do the close and take some individual attention with each particular person and ask them what they're working on, you know, what kind of goals their family has, to be able to try to, you know, work through sleeping issues or stuff like that. Okay, so there's a lot of info here, and it looks like a lot when we're doing this as, you know, as like pages off of the like out of the workbook or whatever, but the whole thing only takes about 40 minutes or so, and it's, you know, even whether you're doing it online or whatever, it ends up being really, really easy, I think. If you guys would go ahead, I'm going to do question number 2 here. Question 2 is, have you actually been to a class that's set up like this? Okay, so some of the classes, even if you're, you know, doing, whether it was, like I'm just thinking back when I first started, I didn't do classes like this with the Essential Oils Made Easy, or there was like a lot of interaction or things like that. And I much prefer them now. Like, I'm so glad I've learned how to do them. But depending on, you know, who helped you get started with doTERRA and things like that, maybe you have not experienced a class like this. So go ahead and put that in the comments for me. Have you ever been to a class that was like what we just talked through? So put yes or no in the comments for me if you like. And then, oh, I'm seeing that Marie got some Wild Orange and Yvette got Serenity. Oh yes, I actually remember that now, Yvette. That's kind of fun, for the samples that you guys had gotten before. All right, let me think what else. I need to also tell you, oh wait, no, I didn't share my screen here. Hang on, let me go back and share first before I switch. Okay, so don't forget about the global connection that's coming up, this Pursue kind of convention event. And be sure to go get your access code. Again, it's only $30. You're going to be happy that you did it. And the recordings are available until October 31st. So even if you're like, oh, this week is loaded up for me, Amanda, there's no way I can possibly, you know, like get this, you know, watch this info, is just, you know, at the wrong time of the year or whatever. Don't worry, you do have access until October 31st. And it is the kind of thing that you're going to want to go back and talk and watch Dr. David Hill and like all the experts and things like that. You're going to want to watch them do their stuff again and again and again. Okay, I'm going to ask question number 3 real quick. Sorry for letting them up here at the end. I do that, unfortunately. So question number 3 is, what is one thing that you love about doTERRA? Like when you start talking about blah, 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 doTERRA related, what is it that gets you like afterwards you realize that you've been talking way too long, that you've been fire hydranting someone, that you've been like overloading them on the details of all of this because it's something that you just love and can't stop talking about. I get really into it because I think of my like the co-impact sourcing kind of things. I love the integrity of the company. I love that it's a debt-free company. I love that it has like a, you know, as far as I know, the best compensation plan ever. You know, when you're looking at long-term kind of stuff, I love the way it's giving back to the world through the Healing Hands Foundation. There's just so many things that I kind of just love about it. So go ahead and put that in the comments for me. What's something that you love, love, love that you like fire hydrant people about when you start talking about it, about doTERRA. And then the last question before we finish off is, what's a sample that you would like for me to send you? We can either do, if you're someone who's new and has not got many samples from before. Now, typically when I have events at my home, which by the way, guys, don't forget those other two things too. So on the 12th at 10 a.m., we're going to do a virtual event where you guys will get to see the products revealed, just in case you didn't get your convention access. Now, again, you're going to want it because there's a lot more that we won't be able to share in that amount of time. But we will be able to tell you just a little bit about some of the new products virtually on the morning of the 12th. And then on the morning of the 19th, if you're local to Orlando and you'd like to come to my home, then I would like to have you play with all the new products. So that'll be from 10 to 12 on the 19th. So we'll get more details about that as well. Let's see. Oh, I love that. So Marie says the quality, the education, the sourcing, the team, all of those are fantastic. Yep, I'm seeing that's great. Easily accessible at my fingertips, and it's homeopathic. Very, very good. Yes, love all those things as well. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay, and then if you in particular don't need a sample, but there might be something that you want to give to another person, you can also let me know about that in the comments below. And say if your friend needs a sample of vetiver, but you don't actually own vetiver, I could be able to send you something like that in order to pass on to them. So those are a couple of things that I would finish off with my question number 4, if you guys have something that you'd like. And other than that, I think I'm done, right? Am I done, Marcella? Can you think of anything else I need to include? All right, well, that's great. So here we are at 11:18. Oh, Marcella has something else. Okay, go ahead.
So we are pausing the continuing education classes because of these 2 fun events that are coming up the next 2 weeks, but we will wrap up class 8. So I know some of you might be like, I'm 1 class away. Hold on, in 2 weeks, after the 2 weeks coming up, so whatever 19 plus 7 is, the 26th, will be the class 8 of the continuing education classes, and you'll want to be there for that because we will have some exciting announcements hopefully for upcoming stuff after that.
Thank you for pointing that out. I did forget to say that, and I know Sue is someone that probably would need to know that info as well, so very cool. Thank you.